This video is going to be an in-depth breakdown of all the exotic class items that you want for the Warlock. Right, now this is an exclusive Warlock video. If this video does well, I'll do a Titan and Hunter one. If this video doesn't do that well, I'll drop the concept. But here's the concept. So there are 64 total roles on the exotic class item for each class, because there are 16 perks total, 8 in each column. So I've meticulously looked through every single god role possible, and I've narrowed it down to 12 god roles for end game content in Destiny 2. The key word is end game content. All 64 roles are usable in the game if you say that it's early game. If we're building for early game, all 64 roles are justifiable. Every single role is justifiable for lost sectors and planets and base strikes, base game. However, for end game, I've narrowed it down to 12 god rolls because end game's different to early game. All right, we should all agree on that comment. So if there are only 12 god rolls, we're going to go into that, but we need to back this up. This is a very in-depth video. How do we first understand build crafting? So we first need to understand what elements make a build good. Well, if you see the infographic on the screen, I'll explain it. These are the 3 principles of build crafting. Every single build you make for endgame must contain some element of each value, of each of the 3 core values to a build. There are more values than this, but these are the 3 main ones, and then there's sub-archetypes of those principles, right? So there's 3 core issues, 3 core principles, right? So core number 1 is survivability. Your build must contain a survivability kit within it. If it does not, you will not succeed in Destiny 2, because Destiny 2's new content is based around ad density. If you do not spec for survivability at all in your kit, the build falls down there and then. It can have as much damage as possible. It doesn't matter. It will fall down there and then on its knees. So that's condition 1. It needs to have a survivability kit built in it. Here's condition number 2, rule number 2. The build must contain some damage elements in it, because the more damage you have, the quicker that you will kill that target, whether it be a boss, a champ, a miner. In a combatant section where there's multiple of adds, the more damage you have, the better you are to succeed. This will contain damage bonuses, debuffs, because debuffs stacks with buffs. So you need to look at your damage output, right? What's your damage output? How much damage is your grenades doing? Your melee, your super. You need to balance all of these elements. So damage is rule number 2. If a build kit has a lot of survivability but no damage, you're going to be longer to do that activity, which you might be doing unnecessary things in the game. See, sometimes you can overcommit to a survivability kit in a build. So you need to balance these 3 core values. Core number 3, rule number 3, neutral gameplay. This refers to ability regen. What is the gameplay like when you do not have a super or transcendence? What is your gameplay loop? What is the neutral gameplay of your build? If there's no neutral gameplay, then you need to heavily rely on your super, and that is a downside in 2025/2024. I know it's 2025 now, but I'm saying people are looking for neutral gameplays nowadays, not just super builds anymore. It's more about neutral gameplay. So neutral gameplay is that is obviously going into ability regen as well. What's the ability regeneration of your build? What's the playback loop? Playback loop, damage, survivability kit. Those are the 3 core issues. Any build that you make ever should contain elements of all 3 elements. I see so many people make the mistake of building for survivability, neutral gameplay, but no damage. They then suffer on damage, right? Let me give you an example. Titan mains who don't run Symphoceps, who refuse to run Symphoceps. They try to run, I don't know, Soul Invictus. Not Soul Invictus, the what's the Titan exotic? What's the Titan exotic boots? Let's come over to it. Where is it? So Phoenix Cradle, people say, oh, we run Phoenix Cradle. Well, Phoenix Cradle has got a playback loop there, and it is enhancing the playback loop, but the problem with that is it's less damage. You were doing less damage. And I can tell you, on Assault of Titan, for example, if you're on Symphoceps, right, or Pyrogale Gauntlets even, those two exotics are far better than Phoenix Cradle because Solar Titan has all the survivability in the world anyways. To buff the survivability more makes no sense because of fragments and aspects that we have, right? So that's an example for you. Let me give you another one. Let me give you the prime example. I'm swapping off the Warlock to the Hunter. I know this is an exclusive Warlock video, but I'm gonna show people up here, right? This is exactly why my 3 principles of build crafting, right, is why it makes sense. This is an example of people running builds that don't really know what they're doing, and they're doing things unnecessary. And there are a lot of hunters playing this build, and I'm going to show you it. Now, there's no mods equipped because I'll make a video separate probably about how to equip mods and what mods you should use. This video is not about mods per se. This is about getting your foundation of build crafting going, right, to then talk about the exotic class items. But let me tell you exactly about my infographic and how it works with this. So look, I said to you, survivability, damage, and neutral gameplay. Well, there's a build with trip mines on Hunter, right? Now, you can spam your trip mines back to back to back. However, the meta sandbox plays a part in this, and it is highly dictated by how much damage does a trip mine do in the first place. Before we start doing any builds, before you start equipping any mods, how much damage does a damn trip mine do? Well, they do sizable damage, but nowhere near as opposed to some other things in the game. So, right, it's got damage. It's got some damage. It hasn't got all the damage in the world, but it's got some. It's got a lot of ability regen. The neutral gameplay of this build is very high. It's almost a 10 out of 10 because you can keep spamming your nades, but then it falls down because the damage isn't there. It's not 10 out of 10. It's like 6. It's like a 6 out of 10 build for damage, right? Then the third element is survivability. Well, look, this is why the build falls down. We can't run a healing grenade. If I run a healing grenade, I can't run a trip mine. Right? The healing grenade is absolute needs to go on for solar builds, generally speaking, for survivability. Right? So the build falls down straight away because there's no survivability really, right, with the trip mines. Now you could supplement that with exotics like Red Death to give it survivability, and there's a way of supplementing builds like that. But I'm just saying the core value of this build falls down right away because there's no survivability and the damage isn't good enough, but the ability regen's there. So it only has one of the core principles of a build. See how the build is fell down right away because of that. There is countless examples I can show to you, but we haven't got all day. We haven't got all day to be doing that. So now that you understand the 3 principles of a build and what you need, you can now decipher what exotic class items you need, right? We can now decipher it. So let's tell you about all the spirits and why some of the spirits are bad and why some of them are good and why some of them are the best, right? Now, it would have been better if I edited this video on a PC, but my commentary is better when I do it on PS5, so we're doing it on PS5. So it's handy for me to go to the Pale Heart, so I can go through each spirit and tell you why it's bad and good. I have an infographic for that as well, which I'm going to show you once I've sort of read through the spirits. Or I may just put the infographic on at the bottom. Let's just see. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So we'll go to attunement here. So the infographic should be on the right hand side. So look, I've got best, mid, and bad spirits, right? These are best spirits, infographic for the Warlock. Save the image so that you can use it when you go to the Pale Heart. You have a good idea of what the best spirits are, etc. And I'll come on to the combinations at the end of the video. Okay? So let's talk about the bad spirits on my infographic. right? So we've got Spirit of the Stag. This is a bad spirit. Why are people running this? It is not good. I'm going to tell you why it's not good. It gives you damage resistance that like the Stag does, but there is no rift regeneration. Therefore, the whole build falls down itself because yes, you get damage resist, but once your rift is gone, it's gone. Now you can kind of build into the Spirit of the Stag, but it's not a good. There are far many better spirits. It is very bad spirit because it's not doing what the Stag does. Like Star Eater Spirit basically does everything what General Star Eaters does, the exotic, right? That's an example. So basically straight away, Stag is no good. Let's move on to the next one. So it is Claw. If I can find Spirit of the Claw. Right, here it is, Spirit of the Claw. It's a bad spirit. It gives you an additional melee charge. On Prismatic Warlock builds, you're using Arcane Needle anyways, and you get 3 of them. There's no point to be running this. There's no point. Not even with Necrotic. I've heard people say, oh, Necrotic, Spirit of the Claw. No, 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 no. It is wrong to be running it. It's definitely wrong. And even with Lightning Surge, there's so many better Lightning Surge builds. Spirit of the Claw is a bad spirit because there's far better options than this. Believe it. The next one, this is going to offend people, is Swarm. Fredlings are not a building. There's not a meta for Fredlings in Destiny 2 right now. And this is based on the meta in the game right now. There is no meta for Fredlings really. So this spirit is basically a bad option right now. Now, may in the future be good. Yeah, maybe. If they buff Fledling damage, maybe. But right now, no. So I'm putting it in the bad category. It's no good. The next one is Ophidian. The reason why Spirit of Ophidian is bad is because it's a waste of a perk. We can get reload quickly other ways. We don't need to waste a damn spirit trait on reloads. Please, people. This is a huge waste. This is a PvP trait. This is for PvP. If I was to put it down to somewhere, but we're not doing PvP, we're doing PvE. So this is a bad trait. Let's go on to the next category. This is mid. I would say this is middle of the road. You could argue arguments to maybe that the stronger or slightly weaker than I'm making out, but when we consider the full sandbox, they are just mid. Seriously. So first we've got Osmiomancy. So if we go to Osmiomancy, so your grenades recharge quicker on hits. Now that can apply to all grenades. The problem with Warlock though is there's not many good grenades on the Warlock Prismatic if we actually look onto it, right? So Storm Grenade's good. Yes, Storm Grenade's fantastic. Friendly grenades are not very good. Cold Snap's okay, and it would work okay, but why run Cold Snap when we've got turret? Do you get it? Bleak Watcher is far more economical than what a Cold Snap Osmiomancy Spirit would be. There's no point in this. Healing Grade's always very good, but that's obviously not a damage style nade. And Vortex Grenade isn't very good without Controverse Holds, if I'm being honest. Vortex Grenade isn't as good as what it used to be. So there's not much of a place for Osmiomancy in that regard in trying to run like a damage style nade build with Osmiomancy. There are combinations, but yeah, it's just not that good of a. It's this one here. Yeah, it's just not that good of a spirit. It's mid. You can try to make builds with it, but like we go back to what I was saying before, the damage isn't there for it. The ability to regen is, but you know, where's the survivability with that? There's no survivability with this. There's so many better spirits than this. It's just not that good in the pecking order. So then we come on to Harmony. So Harmony, if we have a look of where the, if I get my, which one is Harmony? Here we go. Final blows with weapons. So we don't need to spec for intellect in PvE. You don't need to spec for it. Ashes to assets and things like that on the helmet do help out. You don't need to waste a trait on Spirit of Harmony for intellect. We can get supers so quickly when we are solo, and I majority play solo. When you're solo, you get all the intellect in the world. Don't waste your spirit on this. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. I repeat it. Okay, next is Spirit of Verity. So Spirit of Verity is decent, but it's just decent. It's in the mid category. I wouldn't put it on the supreme category or the best category. You can sort of build into it, but it's, again, it is giving you damage bonus, right? And it is giving you ability regen, but where's the survivability with this? What else are you going to pair it with, right? What else are you going to pair it with on here? I mean, you could do it with filaments, because I've said about that, so there is a little bit of a build there, but I'm not saying that this is a supreme class item, right? I'm just saying, look, it's mid, it's top mid. Let's say that. Let's be kind to people. The Verity builds just aren't there for Prismatic, all right? So next, let's come on to the best single, the best spirits in the game for Warlock. The best. All right, these are the supreme. There's no question in my mind that they are not good. First, we talk about Spirit of the Assassin. So if you run Lightning Surge build on Warlock, this is very good. I'll come on to combinations at the end of the video, near the end. Obviously, this video should be timestamped. I'm just talking about individual spirits at the minute. Spirit of the Assassin, it's a top tier spirit, because you going in Viz is survivability in endgame, and that works on finishers, not just merely final blows. This simulates the old hunter invis playstyle, but on other classes. That is OP. It is very OP, so you need to have an assassin role, but I'll come on to combinations at the end, as I said. Next is necrotic, because there's basically very little difference between this and the actual necrotic gauntlets themselves. Very little difference. The fact that we can just proc poison with a lightning surge build or a base melee, right? We're getting poison to our build kit. That is unbelievable, and there are many different roles. Necrotic is a very valuable spirit. Okay, let's come on to the next one. So next is Inmost Light. Inmost Light is buffing your neutral game. Anytime you can buff your neutral game and combine that with a damage bonus, right, like Symphoseps or something, that is fantastic. It is one of the best spirits in the game, hands down. Symphoseps, as I said, because of a melee damage bonus, right? Because we're getting a melee damage bonus, we can do a Lightning Surge build on the Warlock with Inmost Light and Symphos or Assassin's Cowl. For example, right, let's come on to the next one, and I showcased this on my last video. Spirit of the Filaments. Casting an Empowering Rift will grant you Devour. Right, this is one of the best spirits in the game on a Warlock, and I'll tell you exactly why, if you didn't see yesterday's video. Look, I have Devour on here. Oh no, what am I going to do? Oh, I can take it off and put Helion on. Oh, all of a sudden I've got double turret now. All because of that simple fact of Spirit of Filaments freeing up a aspect. It frees up an aspect. That is OP in itself, because we need survivability in our kit. Devour is survivability. This is an endgame perk, one of the best endgame perks in the game. One of the best endgame perks in the game for survivability. We need it. The game is dense. We need it, right? Now you pair that. I'm going to, like I said, rolls are coming at the end. Let's come on to the next one, which is, where is it? Here we go, Spirit of Starfire. So Spirit of Starfire is a top tier trait, but it's only good when paired with Spirit of the Filaments. It's not good with anything else. It needs to be with Filaments. But once you do the pairing, it's the second best stasis turret build in the game. I repeat, the second best turret build. This is the second best stasis turret in the build in the game. Apart from only being beat by Rhymecoat Raymond, that is the only build that will beat this. And it takes a fantastic exotic to beat it. Every other getaway artist, all that sort of stuff, they're not good. They are good. They are good. They're just not as good as what I'm showing to you with the Starfire build and the Filaments. If you don't know about it, watch my previous video then. There's evidence of it. Right, next spirit is Apotheosis. So Apotheosis, honestly, if I could there we go, Apotheosis. So when your super ends, you get an increased ability regen rate. Okay, this is a top tier trait, And there are different combinations with it, but generally speaking, you want it with Star Eater skills. I think that's pretty obvious, but it's a top tier spirit because of that, because it can increase your DPS. Say you're up against a boss dungeon solo, it's a fantastic trait for that. Obviously, Star Eaters is top tier because a damage bonus to your super. This is the only way in the game we can enhance supers, apart from exotic armor. Right? The fact that we can enhance Nova Bomb, Needle Storm, which we before Foundship we couldn't do that, not in the same way. Star Eater was exclusive to Hunter. The fact that we can now get it on a Warlock and a Titan is insane in itself. You want multiple Star Eater rolls, multiple. It is a stock class item that you should hold in your vault on some roll, which I'll come, like I say, I will come on to the combinations at the end. You need him. So I believe I've talked about all of them. This is a difficult video, I'll be honest, but I've talked about all of them. Let's talk about God rolls, right? So the God rolls, let's talk about it. So Star Eaters, you want Star Eater rolls. What are the Star Eater rolls that you want? Well, Star Eater, I've just said it works well with Apotheosis. You want an Apotheosis Star Eater roll. That's roll number 1. Roll number 2, you want it with Necrotics, because it's very good with Song of Flame. Song of Flame works with Necrotics, right? So having Star Eater Necrotic, I personally have this roll, is a very good roll for Song of Flame super damage, right? And the fact that you have neutral gameplay via Necrotics. You can also have it with filaments, so you can have a Star Eater filament roll, kind of. This is, like, put it like this, my infographic, right? It's simple. Just pair all the best spirits together, right? Just pair the best. It's as simple as that. All of the rules I'm telling you are basically that. Just pair the best spirits that are best on their own together. How simple can you get? Just ignore the mid and the bad category of spirits, basically, because they're all less of a level for endgame. They literally are. It's as simple as that. You can have it with Inmost Light as well. So you can do, hang on, can you? No, you can't, sorry. My bad. So you can't do that. So there's 11 God rolls because you cannot do that. The next, so there's 11 God rolls total, not 12. The next is Starfire and Filaments. So I said it just a moment ago. Starfire and Filaments is the second best stasis turret build in the game because you don't need to run Devour and you can keep getting your grenade back because of Starfire, right? Let's go to the next roll. So Symphoseps rolls. What Symphoseps rolls do you want? So for Symphoseps rolls, you want Inmost Light or Assassin's Cowl, right? You compare those two. So with the Lightning Surge builds, right, you can spam it with Inmost Light, or if you need utility with Spirit Assassin and Survivability, you can do it that way. You can also pair it with the Symphoseps. With Necrotics, right? So you compare it with Necrotics as well. So there's that. Right, so let's come on to the next role, which is Assassin's roles. So with Assassins, I would say Symphoseps is your go-to. I don't think any of these, which by the way I didn't talk about Vesper, did I? So Vesper is a bad trait. It is a very bad trait because it doesn't give you any ability regen. There is no rift regeneration there. The arc shockwaves are not good enough to justify this as a trait. Are we all understanding that? So yeah, you want an assassin role. The best assassin role, in my opinion, would be with Symphoseps on a Lightning Surge build. That's the only time it makes more sense. Necrotic roles. So with Necrotic, the roles you want is a Star Eater role. I've already mentioned it. Right? A Star Eater roll and Symphoseps. Symphoseps will increase your melee damage and your poison everything with the Lightning Surge build. This is a fantastic class item. Apotheosis rolls. You want a Apotheosis with Star Eaters. That is ultimately the best thing you can do. You could pair it with like Symphos. You could pair it with any of the best spirits that I've mentioned. But the most optimal one, if we're being honest to ourselves, is the Spirit of the Star Eater one. Let's be right about it. This is the best with Apotheosis. I don't see much point in combining it in other different ways. Let's go to Inmost Light rolls. So Inmost Light rolls would be obviously with Symphoseps. I've already mentioned this, but I'm doing it this way so that I don't miss a combination, because I'm coming on to what else it can be paired with. So Inmost Light can be paired with Star Eaters. That's a decent, because look, you get neutral gameplay with Inmost Light, yes, and you're getting a super damage bonus when you get the orbs, and it's very easy to get orbs nowadays. So yeah, you got neutral, you got damage. Hopefully you got some survivability in that kit as well, right? That works. Inmost Light, you could pair Inmost Light with Starfire, but the problem with Starfire is you need an Empowering Rift. That's why Filaments is so good with Starfire, right? So yeah, you could kind of do that, but it's not as good though, is it? It's not as good as what I've already mentioned. Filament rolls, coming on to that. So with the spirit of the filament rolls, you want Symphoceps. You can have Symphoceps. Obviously, Starfire, I've said that is the best, but you can pair it with Symphos. So you could do Symphos with Devour, because you're going to get a Devour, right, on your cast. Right, so it's a different way of combining it, but I'm saying that this is okay to do it. Maybe not as good as some other roles that I've mentioned. You can pair Filaments with Star Eaters. Star Eaters is a versatile damage perk trait. It's always good to have a Star Eater role, if you see what I'm saying. And that's literally all of the combinations that I recommend to you as a Warlock main for PvE. Any other combinations outside of what I've spoken to you about are definitely not effective in PvE endgame. Give me credit. I've had to think about 64 roles for one video. Do you understand the mental power of that? Is difficult, right? So that's as good as I can do for this. Yeah, I know there's no gameplay in the background, but it would be very difficult to showcase to you 12, 13... God roll class items with footage back-to-back comparison each one. That's too difficult. This video is more to say, right, these are the roles you need to look for. Look at that infographic when you go to the Pale Heart and attune the perks. I will tell you one trick, and I've been getting a lot of God rolls doing it like this. I cannot confirm or deny it, but I'm gonna give you a word of advice. When you're focusing for a role, so say for example it's the elusive Starfire role that I showcased. You know how I got it first go? I literally did this. I attuned for Starfire, then I attuned for Filaments, then I attuned for Starfire. I done it like that, and I got the God roll first off Xur straight away. I know it's RNG, but there's been RNG weighted pulls in the game, and I think that doing this trick of attuning both traits that you want, Xur or wherever you get it from, is most likely to give you the role you want, because it seems to be tricking the game. I have done this 5, 6, 7 times now on getting the role I want. I've done it on the Hunter for Galanor build. I've done it on the Titan when I needed Inmost Light and Symphoceps. Be 8 weeks ago now, 2 months ago, whatever. I'm not saying it works. I'm just saying, look, maybe try it, and if you get it, you're going to believe the science behind it. Hey, maybe it is tricking the game. Who knows, right? I'm not saying yes or no, but it can't hurt. It can't hurt to do it, right? Just whatever trait you want, just make sure you tune it twice. Boom, go to Xur, hand in your strange coins. Honestly, there's some pattern forming, but you would need the community to go and do that and actively collect the evidence to see if that's right or not, if you can weight gate your own class items. I'm just saying what worked for me. It's funny that I've gotten 6, 7 God rolls in the last few weeks by doing that method and getting it first to second try of Xur. It's strange. Anyways, that was the extensive guide video to exotic class items and the principles of build crafting in Destiny 2.